Well, good evening, barflies and lounge lizards, and welcome to the Atomic Snack Bar. And tonight we'll be discussing some random sci-fi aliens from the 1960s that I think are neat. This episode is part rerun and part brand new, thus explaining why some of the segments aren't quite as polished as the others, and I'll explain all that in a bit. But first up we have Friday from Robinson Crusoe on Mars from 1964. Directed by Byron Haskin, Robinson Crusoe on Mars tells the story of a pair of astronauts who end up stranded on Mars. Unfortunately, Bruce Wayne doesn't make it, but his companion and their monkey do, and though tough, the survivor and his simian find that they can stay alive on the harsh planet. Soon our lead discovers food, water, and a unique way to breathe. And that's not all he discovers. Elsewhere on the planet is a strange, unseen alien race that is using human-looking slaves clad in black bracelets for mining purposes. Our lead ends up rescuing one of these individuals, naming him Friday after the character in Robinson Crusoe. The two really can't communicate at first, but end up close friends surviving the strange world together. So I'm already breaking my own rules here by featuring a human-looking alien, but Friday is just so cool, and this was one of my favorite sci-fi films as a kid. I'm making an exception. But Friday was played by the great character actor Victor London. London has a great sci-fi resume with appearances on Babylon 5, Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, and Star Trek. Before that, he auditioned for the role of Spock. And let me tell you, had they made a Conan movie in the 60s with the character a bit more Howard accurate, I think London would have done a great job. He was also a musician and even wrote a song about Robinson Crusoe on Mars that he performed at conventions.
Robinson Crusoe on Mars.
So number 5 on the list, and the one people will probably take the most issue with, and that's the Frous from the Monkees episode Midgekogio, aka the Frous Caper from '68. And the Frous was a plant-like alien while under the control of an evil wizard, played by Rip Taylor. It was hypnotizing people through their TV sets. The Frous was such an amazing, funny, bizarre design. It was basically just a football with an eyeball painted on it attached to a plant. It was cheap, but just so strangely captivating and endearing, and then it would blow this smoke that has effects on people. Maybe the smoke had effects on me is why I like the Frous so much, or maybe I just like the Monkees so much, but something about that. It was like the dollar store Triffid. Fantastic. But this was actually the final episode of the Monkees series, and it was a satire of the industry, and it's rumored that the evil eye of the Frous, which hypnotized people, was meant to symbolize the CBS logo. But I find that suspect because the Monkees didn't air on CBS. It aired on NBC. So why would they be parroting CBS when they were kind of trying to take a shot at NBC for canceling? I don't know. Either way, Frous is fantastic, and that's a great episode too. Season 2 of the Monkees, in my opinion, is where it really it's where they got more control. They got rid of the laugh track, and it just started kind of getting weird. Like Frank Zappa had an appearance on it. If that tells you anything. Dressed up as Mike Nesmith, and Papa Nez was dressed up as Frank Zappa. Great stuff. As to the origin of the Frous itself, Frous was actually the band's code word for marijuana. And they had this lounge built outside the soundstage, and they would go to this lounge and smoke the marijuana, and it was called the Frous Room. Number 4 on the list is King Ghidorah from Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster from 1964. I mean, come on, you all know Ghidorah, the giant golden three-headed dragon from space that destroys planets and takes a whole lot of monsters to take it down. As a kid, I knew Ghidorah exactly what he was supposed to be, and he was the big bad of the Godzilla universe. I wasn't scared of Ghidorah because I didn't get scared of giant monsters. I thought they were amazing, but he was intimidating, and I knew this was the big bad. This was the guy they gotta take down. And when me and my buddies would play giant monsters at the pool, we would often be fighting invisible Ghidorah because no one actually played as Ghidorah. We fought against Ghidorah. Now, the initial concept of Ghidorah came from producer Tomoyuki Tanaka, and he was inspired in part by Greek mythology. He wanted Godzilla to battle a multi-headed snake, but he felt that 7 and 8 heads, that was just too many heads. So he went down with 3. And the actual design of Ghidorah was by Akira Watanabe. Something I forgot to mention back before when I was a kid, we always knew him as Ghidorah, I guess from dubs and promotional materials. Didn't learn Ghidorah until a little bit later. Yeah, he was King Ghidorah, is what we called him when I was young. Now, suit actor Shoichi Hirose would actually spend hours hunched over in that costume, holding onto a bar for support, while puppeteers from above worked Ghidorah's necks and tails and wings. So a lot of those suit actors went through a whole lot, but it sounds like this fella went through even more than usual. And number 3 on the list is the Kanamits from the Twilight Zone episode To Serve Man from 1962. Now the Kanamits were a 9-foot tall telepathic alien race that came down to aid mankind during a turbulent time. Or did they? I won't say any more because I don't want to spoil it. Now, the Kanamits, all of them were played by Richard Kiel, who's probably best known from the James Bond movies as Jaws. And they were exactly what I think of when I think a 60s or just a classic alien. Kind of humanoid, but with a big head. They actually kind of reminded me a bit of the alien from The Thing from Another World. Kind of, sort of, if you squint upside down. But they wore a fancy white robe. Richard Kiel was such an unusual, unique-looking gentleman to begin with. He really didn't need that much makeup to play kind of an intimidating alien, and he actually stood at 7'2" in real life. Now, this was actually based on a short story of the same name, but in it, the Kanamits, known as the Kanamit in the plural form in the short story, were actually a short, hairy, upright pig race. So I guess if you've seen the episode and you know the twist, that kind of works it. But I think they went a better direction with the Twilight Zone episode.
Hey, let's play ball.
In the house?
Sure.
Hey, what are those things anyway?
They're Nerf balls. Spongy foam. That doesn't hurt anything.
Nerf balls.
You got your nerf.
Hey, so where did you get these Nerf balls from, Mick?
From Kool-Aid, free. You send in the top of 20 packs of regular Kool-Aid or 10 packs of sugar-sweetened Kool-Aid to Kool-Aid, P.O. Box 600, Bradley, Illinois, and get a free Nerf ball.
A nerf's a nerf.
And now we get to the reason for this rerun / partially new episode, and that's the Zanty Misfits, which was originally number 2 on the list. But MGM went and claimed the video and rejected my dispute, so I had to cut the segment. Instead, we're going to talk about the Gorn from the Star Trek episode Arena from 1967. And Arena tells the story of the crew of the Starship Enterprise who are investigating a decimated outpost that came under attack by an unknown force. Turns out, said force was a group of hostile aliens who aren't too keen on uninvited guests. It's eventually decided that the captains of each of the ships will go down to the planet and battle to the death. The loser ship gets blown up, the winners get the leave. So the main man, Captain Kirk, goes down to battle the alien captain, a reptile-like creature known as a Gorn. Part go-go dancer, part alligator man,
I'll kill you, alligator man!
and all kinds of groovy. The Gorn is easily one of the most iconic aliens from the original series, and these stylish reptiles were designed by a true sci-fi great, Hua Chang, who also designed the tricorder and the communicator. Not to mention he sculpted the original focus of this entry, the Zanty Misfits. The Gorn captain was played by stuntmen Bobby Clark and Gary Combs, as well as DeForest Kelly's stand-in Bill Blackburn. Both Clark and Combs did some acting as well as stunt work, with Clark appearing in the biker film Satan Sadist, and Combs appearing in the Planet of the Apes TV series, yes sirree. Even more interesting, for me at least, the Gorn was voiced by Ted Cassidy of the Addams Family, Lost in Space, and a whole bunch of great voiceover work. The Gorn would pop up again several times over the years, including a cameo in the animated series. And number 1 on the list, and that's the Saticons from Lost in Space from 1966. And I've said before, Lost in Space is my all-time favorite sci-fi property, seasons 2 and 3 in particular. I really like when it got kind of campy, just more comedic, just great stuff. So many great memories of that show. But the Saticons were a race of alien beings that appeared in 2 different episodes, which was kind of unique in and of itself to have that continuity. But they appeared in Wreck of the Robot and The Galaxy Gift, though it's different sets each time. Both episodes at sets of 3 Saticons, but they're different sets of 3 each. each time, and they are up to no good. They were a unique race, and especially what they could do, because they could make objects appear out of thin air. They could even control the weather. They were a powerful alien race, and such a simple but fantastic design, because they just basically had a featureless, rocky kind of face, a black robe, and a fancy glittery hat, because with a black robe and a gravelly face, you gotta have a fancy glittery hat. But they were constantly swaying, and they were just this really weird, unnerving design, even with the fancy glittery hat. Now, they weren't actually named and called the Saticons until the second appearance, The Galaxy Gift, which also featured John Carradine. But the main Saticon was played by Jim Mills in both episodes, and he provided their creepy Saticon voice. If you've never seen Lost in Space, I mean, you should turn off this silly channel and go watch some Lost in Space. But if you've never seen Lost in Space, I do highly recommend those episodes with the Saticons. Very cool. And that's all the time we have for this week. Please like, comment, subscribe, and keep it wacky.